Ouais, je pense que c'est bon. We are online. Hello, everybody. We are on for our live session of the Audencia MOOC on CSR and value creation. This week we are going to talk about how to create a link between CSR in the marketing strategy of the company. My name is Sobczak at Audencia Non-School of Management. I'm the holder of our chair, and I have been the tutor during this week. We are online with Tomas Sparano, who is from Brazil. Hello, Tomas.
Hello, how are you? I'm from the Universidade do Parana. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure for us to have you here and to have also the opportunity to know more about CSR in Brazil and, of course, about the marketing issues. And we have also a representative from the group SOS, who is Pierre, who is one of our alumni, and he is working in this organization. Maybe you can present it shortly.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for the invitation. Basically, I'm working for a big group, which is like a social business group, one of the main in Europe. We have 30,000 employees, and we work in very different fields, from hospitals to ethical caterer or media. All of our activities have a social entrepreneurship approach, meaning that we aim at economical efficiency, but in the same time, it's important to have an important social impact and environmental impact. And more specifically, I'm working for the media department, which is in charge of 3 medias. One of it is a radio network. The other one is a full player and at the same time magazine, which is tackling issues about diversity in the French society and in the world. And the last one is a bit more than media, because this is events, a magazine and a social network which is called UP. And basically we are focusing on sustainable development and social entrepreneurship in this different meaning support of UP. And my work is to be in relation with every big company in this country and worldwide which want to communicate and to work and to try to convince people to buy their product because they are doing CSR whatever.
Great, and so you're really an expert in the field of communication, marketing, media, and CSR, and so this is why we are very happy to have these different points of view. So you have the possibility to ask questions, online questions, to our different experts. Maybe to start the conversation until there are some questions from our participants of the MOOC. I have some first questions. Maybe my first question to Thomas. In Brazil, what are the main debates about CSR, and how do companies integrate CSR issues in their marketing and communication strategies?
Okay, I think we are evolving now from an approach that CSR would count as maybe a point of difference in terms of a firm's general strategy and therefore in terms of marketing strategy. I think nowadays companies they don't think CSR. Okay, I'm gonna have an action related to social responsibility or a social responsible or environmental action to give me leverage over the other companies. Basically, I think it's pretty well leverage. I think all companies now they incorporate that in their premises before starting the strategic planning. So I think it's more like the quality or the differences in the actions and the way these actions can provide the company a better relationship with all their stakeholders, not only the consumers. So I think companies they do CSR actions in terms of giving them opportunities to gain advantage over the other companies in terms of relationships with all the stakeholders. So I think nowadays when we talk about CSR in marketing in Brazil, we talk very much of stakeholder marketing in general terms, not only isolated actions. We are not focusing on the transaction, but we are focusing on the relationship.
Pierre, do you agree that when we talk about CSR and communication, we cannot only target the consumer, but we have to develop a strategy that is much broader and that has to target all the different stakeholders?
Yes, definitely. I think this is a key to have a a communication campaign which is efficient. This is not enough, but we have a lot of examples of firms which try to communicate only toward a customer, and when they do that, most of the time it doesn't work, basically, because right now it was not the case in a few years ago, but right now there are competitors in every field of the economy who are kind of genuine social firms or who propose real products, real services which are with a strong identity, which are genuine products or regarding sustainable development issues. And when a big firm wants to target and to try to find new customer or to convince people into the fact that they are doing something good, and this is not only a product, but their firm are compliant with a lot of things, they have to address everybody. Meaning, and when I say everybody, it's intern and extern, meaning that you have to focus on your customer, you have to focus on every part of the environment of your customer, meaning, I don't know, the family, the state, I don't know, your provider, whatever. And in the same time, you have to convince people inside your firm that this is not, just another product for another target. This is part of your company. And when all of this is, together, it might work.
So to a certain extent, the company will almost become also a militant actor, trying to promote also certain values, going beyond the services and products, but also to a certain extent trying to push forward a certain vision of the economic model and the society more broadly.
Yes, definitely.
Is the case also in Brazil, Tomas? Would you agree that some companies go beyond communication that is just focusing on goods and services they sell, but also positioning themselves in the societal debate?
Yes, I think I understand and I agree when Pierre says when you should try to provide an authentic, full experience for the customer. So I think that's what companies are going for. They're going for authenticity, and authenticity is not only a company-consumer relationship, but it's basically in everything they do, in all their actions with their employees, with their suppliers, and everybody. So for here in Brazil, since products and services, they have been more similar to each other. They have been more like a commodity. We could say this. Companies are thinking, how can I differentiate in general? So they think, okay, I should provide an authentic experience for my customers, and that goes beyond just advertising CSR actions to consumers. I ran a research program here a couple of years ago, and then we got the 40 top companies in Brazil, and then we tagged a line when they started the CSR actions or programs, and then we tried to evaluate in the long run if that affected their stock value. And interestingly, since then, of course, there are other variables involved, but it didn't affect directly the stock value, but it maintained the stock value. Or in the beginning, of course, in the first 3 or 4 months, the stock value dropped because you need a lot to make a lot of investment if you didn't have anything before. But if that's part of your strategy, I think then it's more like, okay, it's not like now we're going to be a socially responsible company, so then I have to change everything. So I don't think the consumer buys this thing because the consumer is better informed. So I think it has to be a change in the whole company's way of being. Right?
Okay, we have some first questions from our participants. A first question comes from Marine, who asks how you can address the diversity of customers, and as we have seen other stakeholders in the field, because these different stakeholders have different nationalities, different ages, different gender, different educational backgrounds. How can companies adapt to this diversity? Because it's not easy, I guess, to have a coherent strategy and to target all the different stakeholders. Thomas, what would be your opinion?
I think that's basic basic marketing strategy. You have to understand all your public, and try to segment actions for them. I think you can have a core CSR strategy, but the actions that are derived from this, they should suit all the stakeholders, but mainly in this case that she's asking, the consumer expectations. If you get, for example, Virgin, Virgin is a company that is very oriented to their impact in society, and they have several products to suit different publics and different stakeholders. I think as you're tagging public, you're tagging consumers, you have to tag their expectations in terms of your social and environmental actions. But that, of course, has to be related to who you are first, right?
Pierre, you mentioned the specific organization you're working for, SOS Group, which is trying to have, I think, this very integrated communication strategy in the field of social values. I don't know whether you call it CSR in your company, but the idea that you would really like to target all stakeholders and to have probably different approaches, because you, as you mentioned, you have different tools that you use. But can you describe a little maybe your integrated strategy towards communication?
Yes, definitely it's more difficult, meaning that when you are doing CSR communication, as we said before, you do not just address customers, you address, every stakeholders, meaning that your communication strategy is more difficult, basically because it's more complex. And as it is more complex, you need, more competencies, you need more means, and this is something a bit new. So you need more expertise, you need more time. So basically, what we do in SOS Group is different things. First, we have not just a dedicated team tackling these issues, but this is integrated in every single part of the company, meaning that there is not just a CSR department. This is one. It depends on the size of which department, but this is 1, 2, 3, 4% in every single department. This is a big investment. But if we want to be competitive and reliable and efficient, we need, you need to invest on people. This is for me. This is one of the basics. So first, we invest a lot of people. Second, we try to have insight, meaning that it's really difficult to communicate when you do not know people to what you want to communicate and the different stakeholders. So we put a lot of money on studies, and we do really work with a lot of actors which are doing a lot of different studies, panel, and whatever. It's again a question of money, but if you are not investing of the knowledge of your stakeholders, you won't do anything right, because you do not know them perfectly, or you do not know them statistically. So if it is not statistic, it's not efficient. So second studies. Yes, sorry.
No, I was just saying that to a certain extent you say that you have to communicate towards all stakeholders, but on the other hand you have also almost all, at least internal stakeholders that communicate on CSR. So it's really, you have to convince your employees, but also maybe sometimes it could be one of your partners one of the customers that will also communicate on your CSR strategy. So I guess then it's important to have some tools. And Pamela, who is one of the participants, last asked whether you have some indicators.
One, André? André? I think we lose André. Maybe in order to continue the time that André is back, I will try to answer the question. One thing important about what it says is that the people who are, developing the CSR strategy are people, and if you do not have like a strong but really strong strategy towards your employees regarding these issues, it doesn't work at all, because everybody needs to be convinced of what you are doing. So, for example, in the group SOS, at every single part of the hiring process, for example, this is a key reason to hire people. Meaning, when you want to, you need first to hire people who are convinced. It can be, stupid or basic to say that this is important. Secondly, you need every day internal communication, team building session toward these activities to make people being really convinced that this is not, accessories. This is important because this is, history is going that way. This is like a sense of history, meaning that corporate social responsibilities has to be part of every single firms. And I think we have André back.
Yes.
I was trying to answer the question about the importance of make people of firm, your employees, believe that it is like they cannot be away from these questions.
We had one of the questions also from Pamela about what is, how do you see the negative side of communication on CSR? We have a lot of debate about greenwashing, that companies oversell their activities in the field because it's becoming more and more popular. And how do you protect yourself against this kind of greenwashing, and specifically saying that you have the different internal stakeholders that communicate about your strategy? So how can you ensure that at a certain point everything which is communicated really corresponds to your values, to your actions and your realizations? Pierre, maybe if you start, and then we have Thomas' point of view as well.
But basically, I think customers or stakeholders are not say stupid, meaning that if you are communicating something which is not right, or which is not genuine, which is not powerful, they will know it, because media are powerful. We just have to see, the Volkswagen scandal in a few months ago, few weeks ago. People will know. So I think greenwashing, it's a waste of money, and I think I see a lot of companies which are not communicating. Even if they are doing a few things, they are not communicating. Meaning that they know that if only, 10% of their business is good, it's not enough, because everybody will focus on the other side. So I think the best advice that I can give to every single company in this world is that if you are not like a 100% convinced and acting in this field, do not communicate at all, because it won't work.
Thomas, what about the situation in Brazil? Do you have also, I guess, the similar debate about companies that are targeted for doing greenwashing?
Yes, I totally agree with Pierre. I think if what you're communicating is not true, it won't last for long, because also communication nowadays is way different. Companies it's not a dietic relationship anymore, because what you get is like your consumers communicating, I mean, not only consumer, but your stakeholders communicating about the actions you do. So if they feel what you're doing is not true, they're gonna communicate and integrate among themselves, and then you're gonna be discovered that it's gonna be discovered that what you're doing is not real. So it doesn't last for long, you know. And also another thing, we have to think of a strategy in general, not only communication, because we did another study here in Brazil that consumers won't pay much higher price for something that's labeled as socially responsible, you know. So if it doesn't work like, okay, you're gonna pay more because I'm socially responsible, you know, the consumers are gonna talk among themselves and say, look, you know, they're not like this, and their price is above market, so let's just try to find someone that's doing a better job and thinking about us and the community in general, right? So I don't think it lasts for long, you know.
Yeah. So this also comes back to the need to have a long-term strategy in the field of CSR. Obviously, and this also brings us back to the fact that probably certain kinds of companies are having things easier than others, because if you're listed on the stock market, it's probably more complicated to have these long-term strategies. If you're, for example, a family-owned company, it's probably more easier to have this kind of strategies. What about the group SOS? Because you have a very particular governance, Pierre. You are obviously not listed on the stock market. Can you explain your kind of social business?
Yes, we are really specific regarding to structure, meaning that we have more than 350 different entities, I mean legal entities, but all these entities are owned by association, meaning that there are no shareholders at all. Every single profit is reintroduced into the company, meaning that this is really specific. And there are two main advantages to that. First of all, we do not lose money. I mean, every single profit is reinvested, so we have a real big competitive advantage regarding others, first of all. And the second advantage of that is that we do not have shareholders telling us that, okay, we need short-term profits. So it's really, really big difference. And I do not speak about, of course, internal motivation, the thing that you know, you own the company, every single employee owns the company, all of that. But there are two main advantages.
Thomas, some of the participants are asking about how the educational sector is communicating about CSR. Can you talk a little bit about your university? And then, of course, I can also add something about Audencia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our university is a public university, so it's pretty much in our DNA that we are responsible, right? In a broader sense. But I'd like to give an example that from some former students in our business program here, that they have an interesting program like this. They have a social enterprise. They opened this company to give consultancy for poor schools in poor neighborhoods that are not doing well. So what they do, you know, like they help these schools develop management skills, but they also get sponsors based on a real project, would be to improve of this. So I think integrating their mission, which is to help educational institutions in various areas to improve their performance and get them sponsors. I think it's, you know, it's an integrated program that's responsible by itself. So I think a program like this, you know, it adapts to the community, adapts to the school, so everybody's working for the project. The sponsors, which are big companies, you know, like they're being genuine too. in terms of what good they want to do to society in this small scale universe, right? Okay.
Okay, yes, maybe I can say some words about Audencia, who is also, of course, very much communicating on these issues. Our school has been involved for many, many years in the field of corporate social responsibility, and we really have tried to develop a lot of communication on it, but we try to use our different stakeholders to communicate about what we do. This is true, of course, for our employees as any company. So we don't want to have only our CEO or myself as the person in charge of CSR in the school talking about these different issues, but we try to highlight some of our employees that have developed certain activities in the field, be it people from the HR department, different levels of the organizations, from top management to any kinds of position. And also, of course, the students, as educational institutions, we have a huge responsibility to train our students, but also we can use our students as important actors that can communicate. You mentioned that in Brazil you're working with the students to do some projects, social or environmental projects. We do the same here. And we try to send out our students to talk to companies. For example, all our students, when they do an internship, they have to report on the CSR strategy of the company. So our idea behind is, of course, to train our students, and whatever be the subject of their internship, even if it's in finance, marketing, supply chain, they have to investigate what is the overall CSR strategy. But when they investigate, they also communicate, because they will ask some questions to the different managers and so on. So we try really to involve our different stakeholders, and more when we today meet some companies, they already knew about our position, and they have heard from our students, from our alumni, from other corporate partners, and I think it's quite interesting if you manage to have these different stakeholders involved in your communication strategies. There was a question raised from Danielle, who was more on the internal communication. We are all, I think, convinced on the fact that you need to have support from top management on your CSR strategies. So there was somebody who was asking how you can sell the CSR strategy to your CEO. How you convince, what kind of communication do you develop to convince people that are higher in the management of the company? I think, Pierre, for you, it was quite easy, because the founder of
the CEO himself, yes. The CEO himself has built this company in order to address, social and environmental, whatever. But I can give some insight about, other companies I met because I met kind of all of them, and in France, to be honest, and all these big company. There is like a small CSR department. In some of them, the leading people of the CSR department is at the COMEX. So sometimes you have like a green COMEX member, but most of the time the people have the problem, meaning that their management is not that convinced that this is important for business. So I think one of the main, the most important advice I can give is that you need to convince in the field of economical performance, even if there is not just economical performance and whatever and motivation, whatever. But if your manager is not convinced at all, and for him, a green and whatever is not important, you need to convince him that will help the business. And this is true because your team will be more motivated. Your customer will find more sense to buy your product. This is a competitive advantage. I don't know. There are plenty of examples that show that this is important for business. As Tomas said before, people are okay to pay more for responsible product, and there are plenty reasons that show that it helps the business. It helps the business.
So you have to make the business case of CSR, saying that
yes,
economic
Definitely.
performance.
Exactly.
Would you agree, Thomas? Because sometimes we have also the debate. I completely agree with what was said by Pierre, but sometimes I have also some.
Yes, I agree.
Sometimes I meet some
Sorry,
students
sorry.
or even managers that say, well, it's a little bit disappointing to put so much emphasis on the business case, and if you do only CSR because you want to earn more money, why is it responsible? I share with Pierre the idea that we have to be pragmatic, and it's very difficult to talk about the ethical values. What is your point of view? Would you also be on the more pragmatic approach and say, well, if you want to convince a broad number of CEOs and top managers, we have to talk about the economic outcomes from this such a strategy? Or do you think that it could also be seen as maybe not so positive, in particular by consumers or other stakeholders that say then, well, okay, if the company just does it in order to earn more money, why should I, for example, pay more for the product?
It depends on the CEO, I guess.
Definitely.
If you're dealing with a CEO that's financially oriented, then you have to come up with a financial and an economic return argument, as Pierre stated. But I think more and more CEOs, for example, if a company uses, like, let's say, balanced scorecard to keep track of their results, I think it's easier because, like, then the CEO has a more balanced way of viewing things. He wouldn't care only about the financial aspect of the company. But I agree that a very strong argument in favor of CSR is if you have a program that's genuine, if it belongs to the company and if it's shared by your employees and all your stakeholders, in the long run, you're going to have a financial result based on your whole strategy, and CSR is part of your strategy. So I think it really depends on the CEO. I think it depends on your ability to know who you are dealing with to come up with the arguments. If you value the company, the only thing I can say is that you need to have let's say a CSR mentality for the long run, and then it's your job to deal with your CEO and tell them, look, if we want to be sustainable, we need to understand it. But then it depends on the CEO. The argument it's depends also in who you were talking with, right? There was one of the questions. Maybe I can just to give a practical example. When I do consulting for companies and they ask me how to develop the strategy, I usually start. I'm just going to give a tip. There is a TED talk it's very famous, from a guy called Simon Sinek, and then he talks about why, how, and what. And then the core of your strategy is why. Why are you doing this? And it's based on who you are, right? So if you understand why, and you connect all your actions to this why, I think it's easier for you to develop everything else, right? One of the examples he gives in the talk, I think it's very interesting. It's like this: when Martin Luther King delivered the speech, the name of the speech is "I have a dream, not I have a plan." So first you have to understand your reasons. Why are you acting? Why are you doing this? If the answer is for money, I don't think your company is going to last for long, because money is a consequence of your actions. So I believe most companies are trying to do good for the consumers, for society in general. So if you understand how you're doing this good, I think it's easier to incorporate CSR practices in your daily work, right?
There's a question from one of the participants, Shinit. It's about how to create an integrated CSR marketing and communication strategy. Pierre, maybe you mentioned the fact that CSR is very much spread all over the company. There's not a specific department. Nevertheless, there needs to be some kind of communication, and you mentioned that it's quite complicated. Would you say that companies should not have a specific communication and marketing strategy on CSR, and that it's more that CSR has to be integrated in the overall communication and marketing strategy of the company?
Yes, as far as I'm concerned, I think that if this is just another department, first of all, when the business will get wrong, because it happens, sometimes, that will be the first department which will be, shut down.
Yeah.
First of all, so this is the reason why I'm, a truly defender of integration all over, a wall integration. First point. And my second point is, if you want to do something, relevant and consistent about CSR, it cannot be something, apart, or just sometimes you think, yes, we should put in some CSR approach to this, or this is just one range of product or whatever. It won't work. Thomas says something really interesting about a strategy of the firm. When you ask, okay, why I'm doing this company, why I'm working for this company, most of the time, I don't know, you provide energy, you provide food, you deliver, I don't know, health to everybody. You do something, okay? You have a mission, okay? But sometimes there is two problems. First, sometimes your mission can work. I mean, if you are McDonald's, you can change your business, you can do CSR approach, whatever, to bring hamburger all over the world is not possible. It's not compliant with CSR first. And secondly, in some business you can change your approach, but if you want to change your approach, for example, if you are Total and you provide energy, if you want to do a compliant and a competitive approach to CSR, you need to change totally your business. Totally, and they are doing it. I don't know if you know that, but Total, which is one of the biggest provider of oil all over the world, is equally the second provider of solar energy, because they are switching, they are changing their business, and their strategy is to change. At the end, is to keep providing energy. This is what they are, meaning this is their mission, this is their place in the world. But they will change the way they do it, but at last for all of the business.
Yeah, and I think that here you exactly point out the importance of communication, because they are changing their business models. So the whole discourse is to say that Total is not there to deliver petrol, but more broadly energy, providing everybody with energy, and whatever be the way how this energy is produced, can be more socially and environmentally responsible, of course. So you have to, I think, explain this shift in the strategy, because I guess there are a lot of employees of Total and customers and other stakeholders that have to understand this major shift, because for many years and decades, Total was seen as a company that sells petrol and gas. And now to say that, no, it's just providing energy to allow whatever be the citizen or company to do their activities. So communication, I mean, is key, I guess.
Definitely.
There's a question from Giuseppe who asked whether there are some specific tools to use when you communicate about CSR. Pierre, you mentioned that you have different communication tools, newspaper and others. Would you say that certain tools are more appropriate for communicating about CSR and sustainable development, or can any kind of tool be used? And should any kind of tool be used?
It's a difficult question, meaning that it depends of what company you are and what message do you want to provide. But I will try to answer it by saying that when this is a big shift in your company, meaning you are Total, you are I don't know, Unilever, you are Danone, you are whatever, you cannot communicate with only one means. It has to be it cannot work otherwise. It has to be a global communication strategy, meaning that you have to use classical means. I mean, media, advertising, I don't know, a TV ad, whatever, because it works. It works. It's efficient. You will touch a lot of people. You will aim a lot of people. So you need to do that. This is this is basic, but it's not enough. You need to work on your social and environmental reputation. So you need to do things and then showing them, broadcast them. But you need to do things. Okay, so this is an important fact. And then I think when we talk about social product and environmental friendly product and whatever, people will talk about you. So your product has to be perfect. I mean, definitely perfect. Your service need to be totally perfect regarding every single aspect. Providers, the employees, whatever.
Okay. Yes, maybe I would add also that the probably communication tools that allow more dialogue are quite interesting in the field of CSR, because there is this shift that consumers are more and more skeptical about what companies do in the field, and if you try to have just a unilateral communication about what you say and only showing the best case, it's probably something which will not be accepted. So more and more what I see, for example, in CSR reports, is that on the one hand, companies are becoming more honest, talking also sometimes about failures, which is something new, because usually corporate communication was only highlighting all the success stories of companies, and more you can see also some small failure. And sometimes also we have in CSR reports critical voices. So sometimes in CSR report you can see that you have a critical NGO that has a page in the report and that explain how they see the company, with some sometimes negative aspects but also some positive things, and makes things much more credible. And on the other hand, I see more and more this willingness to have more interactivity in the communication. So blogs or kinds of tools where, because companies, as you said, know that customers and other stakeholders talk about the CSR strategy, so they will do it anyway. I remember that at a certain point when L'Oréal was buying Body Shop, a lot of customers from Body Shop were really afraid, because they were buying these products because they shared the values of the founder of the company, and they were afraid that now that this multinational is buying this small, very responsible company, all the values could disappear. And L'Oréal decided to create a Facebook page on the merger or on the fact that the company was integrated in the big L'Oréal group. And of course there were some critical voices in the beginning, because the people complained about what was happening. But it also allowed L'Oréal to react, to identify what are really the criticisms that were rising. And they could try to give an answer. So by creating a platform and giving also voice to critical persons, you also have a more interactive communication strategy. I don't know, Thomas, whether you can add something, whether you see similar things. Do companies, when they talk about CSR, use specific tools?
No, I agree with you. Also, just to make a small comment, a consumer, he likes to reiterate who he is. So if you have a platform where he can express their thoughts, their feelings about a certain action and a certain product, then I think you have a better chance of communicating well your CSR strategy than just saying, oh, we do this and we do that, So I agree with you, and also thinking, okay, so if someone is buying a product from this company, he's buying because he benefit of the product, but the benefit for the product in society at large, and he wants to share how he feels to the others. So I think I wouldn't say there's a specific tool, but I would invest in social media platforms and opportunities for these consumers to express their feelings.
Maybe I could put forward another example of Fleury Michon. I don't know if you know this company, which is a big company providing fish and ham for a lot of people. And they do something pretty amazing. They win a prize for that. They totally open to bloggers, to consumer, the processing from the fish to the final product, meaning that every single people can come and to see what's happening and you know, put on Facebook, video, photos, whatever. And I think when what you are doing is, you know, genuine, efficient, this is a more powerful, you know, way to communicate. Meaning, okay, just come, you will see by yourself. And this is exactly what you say, meaning that people can express on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, and they can, you know, the other customer will have confidence.
Yeah. Yeah, and as you said, the people will communicate anyway on you, so it's better that you create the platform and that you have the possibility also then to identify these different reactions and to interact with the people. This also reminds me about Nike. Nike in the 1990s was very much criticized for not controlling the social and working conditions of the employees in the supply chain. So in the first stage, they said, well, it's not our responsibility because it's not our employees. We are just buying from suppliers and there's no legal responsibilities. Of course, this was not accepted by NGOs and by customers. So then they said, well, okay, we create some codes of conduct, charters, and we ask our suppliers to prove that they do it. But obviously it was not enough because some suppliers just signed the code of conduct but didn't change their behavior. So then they added auditors, external auditors, but still there was skepticism because the auditors were paid by Nike, so there was still mistrust from some NGOs. So what they then decided to do, a little bit like what you tried for Fleury Michon, was the fact that now they put on their website all the lists of the addresses of their suppliers worldwide, and they say that any citizen, any NGO, any media can go to the different production sites and just take a look and see whether the workers are working in good conditions or not. It's something which is very strange when I was talking to people in the supply chain management in the beginning, because they wanted to protect intellectual property, and they said, well, if our competitors know who are our suppliers, then maybe we'll lose some value. But it was seen as the only possibility to a certain way to gain trust again from customers with this very transparent strategy. So we are approaching the end, I think, of this live session. I don't know, maybe the two of you can just give some conclusions from your point of view. And I really want to thank you a lot, because it's very interesting to get this different point of view. Maybe Pierre, if you want to do some concluding remarks.
To conclude, I would say to people you know, watching this MOOC that there are basically two situations. One situation, your firm is trying or someone want to put CSR into you know, into central aspect of your company. So that will be really difficult, and I'm really for the pragmatic approach, meaning you need to put the financial aspect. But what we have to focus on is that a lot of other companies are really creating same kind of business. For example, I don't know, in the field of energy, Enercop, which is like another provider of energy, which is pretty efficient. So there are plenty of other ways on other companies which are getting bigger and which are doing things amazing. So we need to focus on them equally.
Interesting. Thomas?
Well, for me, you know, I didn't mention when I was talking, but in Brazil, the competitive environment is much more aggressive because, you know, like the economy nowadays is not so good. You know, like sometimes company, they think, okay, I'm just gonna try to survive the environment is very aggressive, so I'm just going to go for the financial benefits of the trade or the financial objectives. But what we can see, even in a very aggressive, turbulent environment, in like an emerging economy like in Brazil, if you want to focus on sustainability, if you want to focus in the long run, you need to have more than a financial objective or a financial goal. And CSR helps the company, helps the CEO, helps everybody to open their minds and understand how these other objectives can come into the company and complement the financial objective. Thank you for having me here. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you to both of you, and
Thank you.
to our participants who ask a lot of questions. Good luck to all the participants for the rest of the week on marketing and CSR, and good luck also for the next week about finance, which is also, of course, a very important element, because if you don't integrate your finance department in CSR, it would also make that difficulty. Thank you very much, Pierre and Thomas, for being with us, and
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Au revoir.